It's tough, man, because both Isaiah and Paul Reed, your second and third string centers, both outplayed Jay. Like, it wasn't even a bright spot for him in that series.
And think about what that does to the locker room, because if you sign him to the max, like, everybody knows that. Like everybody in that locker, oh, you're the max guy. And I'm sure on some level, even if it's not super intentional, he's going to carry himself a little different being a max guy. And like when you're not delivering max performance, that's not going to sit right.
No.
And that's one of those things that I think is underrated. And when you start throwing money on guys that aren't really the guy, because you that infests your locker room.
The feds were able to come in because they had caught wind of text messages between Beasley and Davis, which the NBA had no recollection of. My point to bring that up is if the feds hadn't jumped into this, the NBA would have cleared Beasley. So
and he'd be good to go.
And he'd been good to go. So I don't think they have a good method or a way of really knowing if guys gambled or not.
You're saying from the league perspective.
From the league perspective. See, I just got a notification that's saying that the Pistons do not want to trade Duren, that they literally just offered him the most lucrative contract possible. So that means, of course, the max. Now,
what do you think Wendell Carter's going to get?
Now, I was initially a fan of Detroit. Detroit put themselves in a tough spot because one of the first moves they made was they allowed Isaiah Stewart, the backup center, to move, right? And so then you have this Jalen Duren contract to manage and handle, and they wanted to bring him in at a number lower than the max, of course, because of his performance. And they seemed to be, stand firm on that. And Jalen Duren was like, oh, you know what, we're so far apart, allow me to talk to other teams. Detroit was like, okay, yeah, go talk to other teams. And he talked to Sacramento, he talked to L.A. So seeing this must mean that either Sacramento or L.A. was probably going to try to find a way to give him a max contract.
Yeah.
And Detroit probably said to themselves, damn, we can't lose him for nothing.
Right.
And there we go with that mentality, that
fear.
That fear. We can't lose this guy for nothing.
Yeah.
But my thing is, I'm not all the way out on Jalen Duren. I don't know. I didn't watch enough Detroit Pistons basketball, to be honest with you, this year to know. Because I'm fine with the guy having, one or two underperforming playoff runs. It happens to younger guys. He's a super young player. Maybe it's a trend for things to come. Maybe it's just one blimp. But if you're in that building and and you've seen him all year throughout his career and whatnot, pay close attention to him, if he's a max contract player or not. And if not, you shouldn't have a job.
Yeah. I will. Yeah. Unfortunately, I think the problem is, I agree with everything you said in terms of like, you know what you got, you know what you don't got. But I do think that like certain market forces push a decision. I think they were hoping when they said, okay, talk to these other teams, that they were all going to kind of try to do something off the max to sign him. And that it would be one of those deals where he goes out into the market, kicks the tires, nothing's blowing him away, and then Detroit's back, hey, we'll beat them by 5%, let's get this done.
Yeah.
And you don't spend the max. But that's where the market forces go. If he went out and the feedback's, hey, LA or Sacramento, they're going to be at this number, now you have the decision, and that's where your fear kicks in. And that's like, okay, if we don't do this, we lose him for free and whatever. We didn't think it would necessarily work out this way. But at the end of the day, I think we agree you're still operating out of fear, and that's not the best place to operate and make good decisions. So, but again, it's not like, I think when he went out in the market and got whatever feedback he got, it kind of took a lower than max contract off the table. So the decision becomes, do we like him at the max? I would say no if I'm running that organization.
Yeah,
I just don't think he's that level of player, and the max is big. It's really big.
Yeah, especially now more than ever with all of these restrictions that we talk about all the time that the NBA has, and every year they're adding more restrictions to the cap and whatever. But, and also when you take a look at this as well, it's like Detroit. They had. lower performing bigs in the playoffs. They had guys who underperformed, and still their biggest need was for a secondary scorer and playmaker.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So that I think that should have proved to them that is your biggest need. So if you have to lose Jalen to get your biggest need, so well be it. Now I understand in the beginning you're trying to get both, get him under the max, and then also go out and get that's the perfect scenario. But
Right.
if you have to choose one, we saw what's your biggest need.
Yeah.
So if you bring Jalen back and you give him the max, now you cannot go out and get the secondary score.
Right. That's the
so
thing.
you're back to where you were.
Yeah, we obviously entered the playoffs with a flawed roster in need of some very defined skills.
Yeah.
And now we're basically going to pay a lot more money for the same roster without solving our problem. That's where
that's
you're
the riddle.
just that's what you have. Well, it's not. I mean, it's like that's where you have to be kind of strong in your decision making and say, no, like we realize we're not a championship level team with this configuration, and we're better to like blow that up, flip it up significantly than to just try to run it back.
Yeah, and it's tough, man, because both Isaiah and Paul Reed, your second and third string centers, both outplayed Jay, like literally outplayed him every single game. It wasn't even a bright spot for him in that series. That's fucking tough, man. Yeah. And that's tough.
And think about what that does to the locker room, because if you sign him to the max, like, everybody knows that. Like everybody in that locker, oh, you're the max guy. And I'm sure on some level, even if it's not super intentional, he's going to carry himself a little different being a max guy. And like when you're not delivering max performance, that's not going to sit right.
No.
And that's one of those things that I think is underrated. And when you start throwing money on guys that aren't really the guy, because you that infests your locker room. Like the dudes you can't fake that. It's like, yeah, well, I kind of outplayed us, series when it kind of mattered, and you're on this and I'm on this. Like, what's up? It just, it's hard to have I think a cohesive team and locker room when that's the case.
Yeah.
Like the guys you're spending the most money on have to be the best players.
They just have to be.
If you're in a good situation, if you're in a, and the players will respect performance.
Yeah.
If again, a guy could be a complete jerk and mistreat people and lose respect that way, but from a pure performance contract, if you've got your best player paid the best way, people respect that. That's not going to be a big issue.
Oh, 100%. Did you see those guys get caught up in the well, not caught up, but the gambling? The Malik Beasley finally got
I saw something like
finally got roped off.
Did he get a sentence or he got formally charged?
I think formally charged is the best way to put it. Okay. And
the other one, the football guy that we talked about, Sorsby,
the
college guy.
Yeah.
So after we talked about that, like he left school. I think he tried to get in a supplemental draft, and I think there's not much interest for that.
Well, the NFL said they just weren't going to do a supplemental draft this year. That he was the only guy to actually submit an application for it.
Right.
But what they did do today, actually, it was funny because the editor just sent me a text like 10 minutes ago. That they said that they're going to allow him to be in next year's supplemental draft, and they told the NFL teams that they're going to essentially they're going to have to consider him. Let me show you here. Okay. He says that right here. Okay, it's right here. So a memo was sent to all NFL teams saying that NFLPA and Brandon Sorsby will not be pursuing any further litigation regarding his entry into the NFL, and that instead he will focus on the preparation for next year's draft. He will be considered a draft eligible player for the 2027 draft and will not be eligible to sign an NFL player contract. Okay, so basically, so they're going to add him to the 2027 draft. I thought it was the supplemental 2027 draft.
Okay.
But they're going to add him to the regular 2027
so
draft.
So essentially they put him on ice for a year.
Yeah.
And don't want to deal with it now.
Yeah.
So, and to be fair, it's a good political move, because the further he gets away from the gambling activity, and if he does, I mean, it's on him. Again, you're not going to have a team to work with. You're not going to have any games until the draft. But if you're able to kind of somehow keep yourself fit, and somehow maybe evolve and improve as a player, which is going to be very difficult.
Yeah.
Then you can be eligible for the draft, and I'm sure you'll have to do the whole rehab thing and be ready for all the combine inquiries and all that when that comes around next year. So that'll be very interesting. But it sounds like they kind of suspended him for a year without putting those words on it.
Yeah. But really quick on the Beasley and so it was Malik Beasley and Ed Davis. So 2 former NBA players, of course. So they were recently indicted on sports gambling charges by federal prosecutors. What's interesting to me about it is the NBA had cleared Beasley, right? Remember that. They had cleared Beasley to return to the NBA. They had found no wrongdoings or whatnot. But when the feds were able to come in because they had caught wind of text messages between Beasley and Davis, which the NBA had no recollection of. My point to bring that up is if the feds hadn't jumped into this, the NBA would have cleared Beasley. So
and he'd be good to go.
And he'd been good to go. So yeah. I don't think they have a good method or a way of really knowing if guys gambled or not.
You're saying from the league perspective.
From the league perspective.
Yeah, I mean, it does raise a question. They may not, it might have been a poor investigation, or maybe there are certain things that they don't have access to.
Yeah.
Because even obviously like a court has an ability to issue subpoenas for records and various things, and there's a consequence to not complying. I guess the NFL, although their power's not rooted in the law per se, their request for information can be backed with the idea that unless or until you comply, you're not going to be eligible to play at all.
Right.
And so you may not go to jail, but it's like you got to make a decision. Either I'm going to turn this over and see if I can play again, or I'm essentially suspended for whatever. But the fact that they cleared him, and then there's additional information that they suggest that either they might not have even known to look for whatever that specific information is, or were just too incompetent in their investigation to do that.
Yeah, because remember they had cleared Terry as well.
Yeah,
and but the federal prosecutors are on top of him as well. So, and then they released the plays and the highlights from that they were that they brought up in court and all of that, and it was like just blatant, plain as day. It was one where the game was like over. There was probably like 4 seconds to go. I
think I saw this one.
Yeah,
it's like a free throw attempt.
No, the free throw attempt is the rebound. I think you're talking about.
Well, there was one where I thought they were at the line, and then like free throw shot.
Oh yeah,
and
then
he got
the inbound.
Ball
yes, that's the one I'm talking about.
Sprinted
down,
with no time,
because the spread was 7.5.
Yeah,
and they were only up 6.
Yeah,
and so he sprinted down with like 3 seconds to go and laid it in. Yeah, that was crazy because you never see that.
Yeah,
and then the rebound was outrageous as well. He's pushing his own player out the way because he had 3 rebounds. He needed 4, and it was funny because I was watching Jeff Teague and them. And they was like, damn, they really wanted to see somebody like stop him from getting that rebound or stop him on that fast break, and wonder what his reaction would have been.
Right.
Because remember, he owes these people a lot of money. That's why he got into bed with Ed. Is because he had owed millions of dollars to this group of people because he was gambling. And so I wonder what his reaction would have been.
Yeah, true. So the money that he owed, was that based on sports bets that he lost, or was that based on like card game bets or other type of casino style bets?
I want to say sports bets because it was like a bookie or whatever.
It was all
like
connected to sporting bets.
Yeah. But then, so in order to pay his debt off, they were like, okay, you just do these couple of things in your game,
right? And we'll get it
back that way.
I got you.
Yeah. But I don't know. I just thought that was
that is
crazy.
wild. That is wild. Did you watch the old movie Blue Chips back in the day?
No.
It had like Shaq and Penny in it and Nick Nolte.
I remember it, but I don't remember watching it.
But it had like a gambling allegation investigation involved, and it was kind of funny.
Let me see. I'm just curious to see how many years he's facing. Now, remember that Detroit had offered him $43 million right before this happened, But Beasley faces up to 20 years in prison.
My God,
Oh man, yeah, that's nuts, man.
that's terrible.